figure out why we don't have any sound. So let's see if we have some sound now, possibly. I'm not 100% sure, but let me check really quick before we get further in this, because I don't want to get further in this and then there not be any sound, obviously. That would not be a good thing. So let me go check real quick here. Just let me know if there's any sound or not. It appears maybe there's not, which would be obviously a problem if you can't hear me. So that's not obviously a good thing here. So again, let me just check really quick and we'll see here if we can hear some sound. So we're gonna, it appears maybe there's not, which, okay, it looks like there is now. So I think we are good. Yes. Okay. Thank you for the update there that we've got some sound. Thank you so much. So okay. Anyway, let me go back and go through this description again because you probably couldn't hear it beforehand. But anyway, in Chronologic Paris 1920 here, what you are doing is you are trying to figure out who's in what time and what location they are also in that time frame. So you're trying to figure out as these characters move to these various rooms and in these various places. Where they are, and in this first scenario, you are trying to figure out who poisoned this detective. So the detective's poisoned, trying to figure out where he was poisoned and also what time he was poisoned to. So that's what we're working on in this first scenario. And so what you are doing here is, this is obviously, like I showed you, the setup. And so this is where all the characters are on the first clock icon of the game. And then you're going to be taking these various cards. You can either do the time or you can do the person, and it will show you different things. So if you do this like on the time, it will show you that there are, you know, 2 people in this room at that time. That's basically the first thing. If you do it for a character, you can see that this person went to this room during time 3, that there was also 3 people in that room with them. Now, when you are not playing by yourself, you are going to just reveal the information that's in that green box to everybody, and then the white box is just for you. But when you play by yourself, obviously you're going to get all the information. So in the solo mode, like I was saying, you are trying to solve it in a certain number of turns, a certain number of questions. And if you do that, you get a various score, either a gold magnifying glass, a silver magnifying glass, or a bronze magnifying glass. So I think with that, we can go ahead and get started. So I'll go ahead and show you the overhead here, and we can kind of just get ready and get playing. So I think what we will do here first is we're going to figure out where people were on like time 2 pretty much. That's kind of what we're trying to figure out initially here. At least that's, you could start any way that you want to, but I think for me that's what I'm going to do with my line of questioning, and then I'll just keep track of my questions up here at the top until we figure out who did this. And again, like I was saying, normally these scenarios take about 15 to 20 minutes to do one of them. Might take you longer your first time. This really has no purpose. If you're wondering about this, this is just a map of all the locations, but you don't really do anything with this. It just kind of sits here. You don't put anybody on it or move anything. It's just basically a little board that you just use to give you a visualization of what's going on. So, okay, on time 2, let's take these cards, and I want to know who was in the grand staircase at time 2. So you will go through these cards, and you will pick the grand staircase, and you will just take this, and you will flip it. And so you know that there was only one person in the grand staircase at time 2, and that it was the chauffeur. So that was our first question. So we know on time 2 that the chauffeur was here. What we also know from that information is that because characters move adjacently, and these are the openings here on this sheet, I'll hold this up. These are the openings on the sheet so that you can see what rooms they kind of can travel in and out of. We know that this person, the journalist, did not go into the grand staircase. So they would have to be in this main area because there's only one person in this room at this time. And again, we know that it's the chauffeur. We also know that the detective did not go this way because, well, we don't know that actually. Sorry. He could have gone into this room right over here. So there is a possibility that the detective is in the grand foyer and did not go this way. And these people we don't really know about yet. So now we'll go through and we'll go turn 2 again. Also, the detective, when he is poisoned, he has to be alone with the assassin. So there could be nobody else in the room with him. So I think we'll check time 2 and we'll check the stage area here and see what was kind of going on in that area during this second time. So here's time 2. We know there's 3 people in there during that time, and that one of them is the detective. So that was our second question. We know the detective's in here. We know 3 other people were in here. We don't really know who, though. We don't know if it was the adventurer, if it was the Baroness, or if it was the servant. We know 2 of those 3 moved in there, but again, with the room configuration, they could have moved these directions as well. So that is also a thing that could happen during the game. So now we will just kind of continue here, and you just kind of keep going and asking these questions, trying to decipher to yourself who's where and at what time did this stuff happen. So we are going to now, I think, basically, still figure out this time 2. I think that would be the smartest option. So this reason we know there's 3, although we really maybe don't want to, because we're trying to figure out who poisoned the detective, and we know if there's 3 people in this room at this time, that the detective was not poisoned on this turn, and he wasn't poisoned on this turn. So we might just kind of continue moving. We also know that the detective maybe was in this room or in this room later on. So now we'll take one of the people. So we'll use the detective here, and we're trying to figure out what turn did he go to a certain place? What time period did he go to a certain place? So we're going to take this card right here for the music area, which is the music hall. We're going to see, did he ever go to this room? Let's see. He did go to this room, and he did go on time 4. So that tells us a couple of things here. We know that if he went to this room on time 4, and he only went there once, so he never went back in that room, then we know on time 3, because he had to move adjacent, and he could not have gone here to here. Those are too far apart if you see there on the sheet. If it focuses there. He couldn't have gone from here to here because he would have had to skip a room, and they move adjacently. So we know that on turn 3 he was right here. Now, we know on turn 4 that he is in that area. That was our third question, by the way. So now we will continue, and we'll maybe see on turn 4 if there was other people in the music room. I think that's a good next question to ask. So we'll look at the music hall. We'll go turn 4, time 4 here, and we'll see who else was in there. We just know that the detective was in there and that he was the only one in there. So he was not poisoned on that turn. He was the only person in there at that time. So on turn 5, he either went here or he went back here. And so we can check and see with the stage area on turn 5 here. Oops, that's the wrong card. That's for the next game we're going to do, which would really mess us up here. We know that on turn 5, did he go to the stage area? We know he went there twice, and we know that he went there on the 6th turn. So if he went here on the 6th turn, we know he was not there on the 5th turn, and we know he was here on the 5th turn. And there's his other time that he was there, if we're doing this correctly, which we might be doing it wrong. You never know. My deduction skills are not the greatest from time to time, so we might have a situation where this is actually the wrong guesses that we're doing here. So anyway, we know turn 5 he's here. So on turn 5, or on time 5, I think we're going to check that room. So we're going to check the dance hall here, and we are going to see how many people were in the dance hall at the 5th time. So we know that there are 2 people in the dance hall at the 5th time period, and we know that the adventurer is one of them. Well, since we know that the adventurer is in here at the 5th time period, and that the detective has to be with another person to get poisoned, that seems like the most likely option right there, is that it's going to be on this turn 5 with the adventurer. But we need to still check turn 6 and see if there's anybody else in the room with him at this point. There's probably not, but there might be. So we want to check and make sure before we just go ahead and make our guess and assume that that is the correct option there. So on turn 6, let's check the stage here. We'll see how many people are in there because we know the detective's in there. We know he's the only person in there on turn 6. So now we're fairly confident here that after 6 questions, again, this is the easiest scenario. This is just kind of an introduction to the game and getting you ready for it. But I think we're fairly confident that he was poisoned by the adventurer in this dance room during the fifth time of the night in the dance hall. I think that's kind of what we've settled on here. So I'm going to reveal the answer. If you don't want to know the answer, if you're interested in buying the game and playing this for yourself, and you don't want to find out what the answer was, then just turn down the volume or look away for a second. But let's see if we got it right here. I won't show it on screen so that you don't see it. Yes, we did get it correct. So it is correct there. I'm now going to show it, just FYI. You can see there, you can see where everybody was on which turn. You can see turn 5, the adventurer and the detective, right there in the dance room. And that is how he was poisoned. It says the great adventurer Adele took revenge on the detective who arrested her in 1912 for trafficking works of art. 5 years in prison gave her plenty of time to plot her vengeance. The culprit was the adventurer, time 5. The location was the dance hall. Again, we're playing Kronologic Paris 1920 here. If you're watching the stream, it comes with 3 different boxes of cases. Each one has 5 cases in there. They range in difficulty. We're doing the first case from case 1. We just completed that in about 15 minutes. And now we're going to move on to the second case and play that one as well. And I'm just going to kind of show you that as well. I don't want to show you obviously all of them because there needs to be some left obviously for you to discover on your own if you're interested in getting this game. But I just wanted to show you some of the first couple of cases just so you could get an idea for how the game plays and also how it works. So we're going to go ahead and set up now for the second case, which again, every one in these boxes, you are doing the same thing basically for all 5 of those scenarios. So like in the second scenario, we're still trying to figure out who poisoned the detective, in what location, and what time. In these boxes, it changes a little bit. So I'll show you just kind of what's in here. There's just more cards and another envelope, but in this, you're trying to find out who the Phantom is. And this was the only character who will be alone in a room at every time in the evening. Who is the Phantom? So in the second set of cases, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to figure out the Phantom of the Opera, it says. Surprised that wasn't like, maybe that's not a copyrighted phrase, but that's obviously a very famous musical. And then in box 3, in this one, it is the singer's jewels. And so this is pretty complicated. This is a stolen necklace, and you're basically trying to track the necklace throughout the whole scenario. Again, this is the hardest one. And it changes hands, and if the character's alone or if there's 3 or more characters, it doesn't change hands, but you're trying to figure out who has it at basically the end of the night, but you kind of have to follow through the whole time, and kind of that's a little more in-depth there with the details. So again, we'll play scenario 2 here in this other box. This is available. It was available at Gen Con. I'm pretty sure it's available for purchase now. I think it was not too crazy. And again, there's the box cover there. But earlier in the stream, I was talking about too how they are going to come out with 3 of these. So they're going to have a 1450. If you can see it there, a 1450, and then also a 2500 that they'll be coming out with later this year. And there's just going to be investigations in different eras. So, like, if you ever played Chronicles of Crime, the 1400, the 1900, and then the futuristic one, that's kind of what they're doing here with this as well. And these are from the designers of Turing Machine. So if you've played Turing Machine, if you like Turing Machine, these are the same designers for this Kronologic Paris 1920. So let's go ahead and set up for the second scenario here. We'll play that one really quick. And this is a level 2, so this is a little bit harder. We're going to have to use a new sheet for this. So, for scenario number 2, we know that the journalist starts here, the chauffeur starts here, the detective starts here, the baroness starts here, the adventurer starts here, and the servant starts there. So that's our setup for scenario number 2. And again, we're still trying to figure out who poisoned the detective, in what location, and also what time was he poisoned. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and start this here in just a second. Just want to check and make sure everything's Still good here? Looks like it is. Hope you're enjoying this live stream, or if you're watching it back later, thank you so much. Again, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out if you're not already. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and checking out this live stream. I've got a lot of other solo videos as well, some other solo playthroughs. I don't have many live streams. This is one of my first ones that I've done. I also did one about Origins Game Fair in Columbus, Ohio, kind of previewing the games that were going to be available at that. That's been a couple months ago, but if you're interested in what games came out at Origins, you can check that out. I've also got some solo playthroughs on my channel, and I've got some top 5 lists of solo board gaming. This is a whole solo board gaming channel. If you're new, we cover solo modes and solo board gaming because it is growing and it's very popular, and sometimes you just don't have anybody else to play with. So that's what we're trying to do here on this channel, is highlight some solo games and some great solo modes. So, okay, I think we're ready for the second scenario here. So let's see, the detective's right here. Let's go ahead and for room 2 here, or for time 2, we're going to see how many people are in this dance area. I want to know if he moved here or if he moved here. I'm going to try to figure that out. So in the dance hall, time 2 here, there's nobody in the dance hall on turn 2. So that was our first question. Now, if you are playing regularly and you get this, if you're playing with more than one person, and you get this arrow right here, that means you just take another turn. But since we're playing solo, that counts as one of our questions. Also, as I explained earlier, if you were playing with more people, the information in white you'd keep to yourself. The information in green you would reveal to everybody sitting around the table. This is a pretty solitary game by its nature. You're not really going to be doing a lot of talking in this game. You're kind of going to be keeping your thoughts to yourself if you are playing with other people. So it's one that I think would work well with a group, but also works great solo because you're kind of doing the same thing whether you're playing with a bunch of people or whether you're just playing by yourself. So we know there's nobody in this room in time 2. This down here too, I didn't show you this. This you can also track how many times they went to a room. So if you're trying to write down there and see how many times they went to a room. So we know that on the second turn, since there was nobody there, that he would have had to move into here. So he's in here on the second turn. Second time. So how many people on the second time are in the stage area? That's what we're trying to figure out next. Let's see here. There are 3 people in there on the second time, and the detective is one of them. So there are 3 people in here. Detective's one of them. We know that he can't be poisoned if he's with other people, so we don't really care about the other 2 people in that room particularly. We just want to know, when is he in a room with only one other person? So on turn 3, he's either going to go here or he's going to go back to the music room. Let's see how many times he visited the music room. That will tell us, and that will give us a definitive answer. I guess he could have gone in here too. This may not be a great question, but we'll see. So on turn 3, he visited the music room 1 time. That was on his first turn. So we know he does not go back there. So write that down here. So now it's question 4. So we know on turn 3 he would have gone back here. Well, not necessarily. He may have also gone out here into the hall. Let's see who was in the hall. The grand staircase. Nope, that's not the grand staircase. That's the gallery. Let's see. This is the gallery. So let's see who's in the gallery. How many people were in the gallery during what time? Time 3? Let's see here. There are 2 people in the gallery, and one of them is the Baroness. Well, there's 2 people in there. The Baroness is in there. Now, if the detective is in there, that is a good likelihood that maybe that's when he was poisoned. Again, we're not confident of that yet. We don't know if he was actually in there. So let's now see how many times he went to the gallery. Oops, that's the dance hall. He went to the gallery 1 time, and on turn 5. Time 5. So he was not poisoned on this turn because he was not in there. Now we know that if he went to the gallery 1 time and it was on turn 5, that on turn 3 or 4, he would have had to be in one of these 2 rooms and then move back through here and then move back into the gallery for his 5th time. Let's see where he was on his 6th time, or if he ever made it over here. That will also kind of narrow things down a little bit for us. Did he ever make it over to the staircase? He did not. So we know he never went over there. He only went in there one time. So that means on turn 3, he would have been in here. And turn 4, he would have gone back out here. And turn 5, he went there. And then turn 6, he would have gone back in here. So now we want to see how many people are in that room on time 4 and maybe time 6. This one again is a little hard. That was our 5th question. Than the first one. The first one's pretty easy. This one's a little bit more difficult. So on time 5, how many people are... Nope, sorry, time 4, how many people are in there? There's 2 people in there, and he's one of them. So that tells me that maybe that's where he was, you know, poisoned at. I think that's probably a good bet. We could check time 6 in there too. Let's go ahead and check that. And this will verify. There's also 2 people there in time 6, and the chauffeur is one of them in this area. So we know the chauffeur's in there at that time. And we know the detective's here at this time, presumably. So we went there 3 times. Is that right? 3 times he went to that area? Let's see. I feel like maybe we tracked our logic may be wrong on this one. Did he go there 3 times? He went there 2 times. And he went there on turn 4. Well, we know he's there on turn 4. Where would he have gone on turn 6, though? If he was in there on turn 5. Oh, we could have gone in this room. Duh. So we know he's not in here on turn 6. He's in here on turn 6. So how many people were in this room on turn 6? That's the other thing we have to determine. The grand foyer here. There's only one person, just him, so he wasn't poisoned on that particular turn. Again, we're trying to figure out who poisoned him, where he was, and at what time that happened. That's the goal for this. And then you're just writing things on this sheet here. So we know it probably was turn 4, time 4, that he was poisoned on. Because that's really the only time when he is in a room where there's somebody else there, and that seems most likely. So now we have to figure out who was in there at that time with him. So did the Baroness ever go to the stage area? She did. She went there twice, and on one turn was turn 2. So we know here on this turn, she's one of the 3 people in here. And we know she goes there one other time, but we don't know what time that is yet. So we don't know if she was in there or not. She could have very well been, because on turn 3 she could have gone here, or she could have gone there, and then back in there. Let's see. There's only 2 people in there. We kind of, again, we know like where it happened and in what location, but we don't know who did it yet. That's what we're still trying to figure out. Let's see. Let's check. Let's just try some people. How many times did the chauffeur go to this area? He went there 3 times, and he went there once on turn 2. So on his second turn, he's here. And so he went there 3 times into that room. So I mean, by definition, he'd have to go to a different room here, and then back to this room, and then a different room here, and then back to that room. We know he's there, and we know he can't go consecutive times to the same room. So we know that he is in this room at this time. That is what we have discovered here from this investigation. So I think we have a pretty good idea of who was in which spot and what happened. I think we've got it figured out for the most part. We could still keep asking questions. We could stop at this point. We could see if we are right on our answer. But this is the only time I think that the detective is by himself. He's by himself on this turn. I don't think we checked this. So let's see if let's just make sure he's by himself. He's by himself on this turn. We know that. Check and see if he's by himself on this in this location, just to make sure that it wasn't maybe turn 5, but it seems like it was pretty much turn 4. Well, there's 3 people in there in that time frame, so we know that the Baroness is here, and we know there's somebody else in here too, but it wasn't just 2 people, which is what it has to be for him to get poisoned. So my guess is going to be that on time 4, the chauffeur did it, and the detective, and they were in, what is that area called? The stage. They were on the stage. Let's see here. Okay. Yes, that is correct. Here is the answers again, just to show you. If you want to look at those. Not lying to you. You must keep a watchful eye on your chauffeur. Charles betrayed the detective for a nice sum of money. You have no way to prove it, but you suspect the chauffeur has connections with organized crime. So there you go. That's just a quick overview of Kronologic Paris 1920. Again, I don't really want to go through any more because I don't want to spoil everything, obviously, in this game. And the designers have done a really nice job here of making, I think, a really nice game that is very compact. You can see it does not take up very much space at all. This is just kind of a mini review here, if you will. Not super detailed or serious, but just some things that I've noticed from a couple of playthroughs of this. One, it's very compact, so you can take it kind of wherever you want to take it. And these don't have to sit like this either. I just do them like that because it's either, but you could really, you could make this an even smaller setup if you just stacked those up, stacked these up, and you don't really need this. Keep that in the box if you want. Now you're looking at these 2 stacks, a piece of paper, and a little stack of cards. That's basically the whole setup. So it's very compact, which I really enjoy. I really like the moving through areas aspect of it. I don't know if all 3 of them are going to follow that same model where you're always trying to track somebody that's moving through locations. I would assume so, but I will be interested with the other 2 when they do come out, kind of if there's any different mechanisms in them or if they're doing anything different with the time tracking of it. But it's really kind of unique. And you can kind of see how they play off of Turing Machine too, because Turing Machine you're trying to figure out codes, and you have a certain number of turns. This is the same thing. You're trying to figure out where people are in certain locations and on what turn they did it. So it works great as a solo game. It is very easy to set up. It is very easy to operate. Obviously, it's just kind of like a how quickly can you solve the case type thing. But I also like that the cases aren't super long, at least not these early ones. Now, some of the 4 and 5-star ones, those might take a little bit longer. I don't know what it says on the box. It says 30 minutes on the box. 1 to 4 players. So I'm assuming none of these will take all that long. Both of those intro ones, that first one took about 10 minutes. That second one took about 15 minutes. I've played a couple of others that I've checked out in this box, and they take about that same amount of time. So I've only done the first box of these so far. So this is really just a kind of thoughts on that first box of scenarios, which I do enjoy, but I haven't even tested out the second and the third one. I think you get a lot of scenarios in here for the price and for the box size. You get 15 scenarios. Again, if those all take you 20, 30 minutes, that's a lot of gameplay there. You could probably roll through one of these boxes in an evening, and you could just kind of knock them out very quickly if you wanted to. Or you could kind of just savor it a little bit and say, I'm gonna do one a day. That's what the Turing Machine model was so popular, is because I know a lot of people just did that. They just did that one puzzle a day or whatever, and then they started adding more online. I think, and maybe they even have an app now. I'm not 100% sure for Turing Machine where they just add more solutions and combinations to it that you're trying to figure out. So you can do the same thing with this, where you're like, I'm gonna play one, and then tomorrow I'll play another one. And then it's just like a quick 15, 20-minute solo experience for you. Everything's very high quality. These are very thick. The looking at the number works great, because if this wasn't just so exact, you would see other numbers on here, or they maybe wouldn't line up right. That the cards are curved and these are curved. And so when you just align them up like that, it works really well. And for some reason you do it the wrong way, well, nothing's going to fit in the boxes right, so you don't have to worry about like revealing a thing that you didn't want to reveal. So that's really good how they designed that aspect of it. Overall, I would say if you like mystery or deduction games, if you want something that's a little bit quicker, some of these deduction games that are out right now just take a while, or you can't really play them solo. But if you want that experience in kind of a smaller box package, I would definitely check this one out. I think it was a lot of fun, and I've been enjoying it the couple of times I've played it. So thank you so much for watching this live stream and this playthrough. And be sure to check out other videos on the channel and like and subscribe. That always helps the channel out as well. We'll probably do some more of these live streams. Again, I'm still trying to figure this out. Sorry for the no sound in the first couple of minutes of it. Thanks for letting me know that there was sound at one point. That was very helpful.